You see, there's this symbiotic, like I always use the Eddie Brock Venom reference if you were a comic book fan in the 90s. This symbiote, creates this super powerful organism with this camera guy in the Spider-Man comics. This is the media. None of this would be allowed to persist. You understand? Listen to me. Folks, let me give you a hypothetical world where the media did its real job. I say a hypothetical world because it doesn't exist. Guys, I want you to play the game along with me for a second because, Joe, I think you'd agree. You've been in the media business actually a lot longer than I have.
Sure, Dan.
You sound so serious. You sound so professorial. If we would agree or disagree, if in one of these interviews, just one with a serious person, not some tomato can, a serious person on the left, not on our side. I mean, people they take seriously.
Right.
Jen Psaki, Chuck Todd, losers, but they take them seriously. If in one of these interviews, Hillary Clinton said what she just said about how the Russians colluded and tried to steal the election, if one of these people just started laughing and said, Mrs. Clinton, I'm really sorry, but this has been debunked 100 times. This is just really ridiculous at this point. Can we just it would stop right away.
Oh, yeah.
Because they'd be humiliated. It would stop immediately. But it's allowed to persist because they work symbiotically to stuff disinformation in your face while claiming in the flipperoo, the dipsy-do flipperoo, that the right is somehow responsible for disinformation. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it, what they get away with. Everything with them is a flipperoo. Everything they accuse you of, you understand they're doing. Every single thing. I want you to watch this. This is one of the most dramatic examples you're ever going to see. There is nothing liberals love more than to accuse everyone who doesn't toe the liberal line of being a Nazi. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't mean you have to be a conservative. That means anyone who is a non-liberal. They don't give a shit if you are a non-liberal, and you aren't helping them move the liberal football down the field to take away civil liberties, education rights, tax dollars, healthcare rights. You will be labeled at some point a Nazi. Folks, just bank on it. If you ever get a public profile and you don't support these freaking socialists, you will be labeled a Nazi. So the weirdest thing happened. You've probably seen the story already, but I'm gonna take this from a different angle. Remember, to the left, everyone's a Nazi, but an actual Nazi. You've probably seen this. But the Canadian Parliament invites up there to speak in front of them. They invite an actual Nazi. There's no disputing this, a part of an actual Nazi unit, and he gets 2 standing ovations. An actual Nazi. I want you to watch this for yourself. It's hard to believe. This actually happened. Check this out.
Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War.
Now, it's hilarious that Politico refers to him as Nazi-linked. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an actual Nazi. He's Nazi-linked because he's a Nazi. That's why he's linked to the Nazi. You see, if it was a conservative who had a Klan hood on, they wouldn't call him KKK-linked. They would call him Ku Klux Klan member Joey Bag of Donuts. The guy was an actual Nazi. Now, you would think, right, that they would just come clean and say they screwed up and just leave it there, right? No. Liberals are thoroughly incapable of doing that. I want you to watch this human pile of garbage, Justin Trudeau. And by the way, this is why I tell you, like everybody saying how the United States is in terrible shape, and we are. I always tell you, we got to save this place because there's nowhere else to go. Where else are you going to go? Here's Justin Trudeau, the dreadful Prime Minister of Canada, a guy who makes Joe Biden look good. Here he is, and I want you to see in the end, again, how he does exactly what Hillary Clinton does, is never called out by the press, goes to the go-to line whenever they're in trouble. It had to be the Russians. Take a look.
Obviously, it's extremely upsetting that this happened. The speaker has acknowledged his mistake and has apologized. But this is something that is deeply embarrassing to the Parliament of Canada and, by extension, to all Canadians. I think particularly of Jewish MPs and all members of the Jewish community across the country who are commemorating Yom Kippur today. I think it's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation, and continue our steadfast and unequivocal support for Ukraine, as we did last week with announcing further measures to stand with Ukraine in Russia's illegal war against it.
This guy's amazing. You believe this crap? Again, things as conservatives, you know, and you can see that liberals are insisting aren't happening. You can go and look right now how liberals will call anyone they disagree with a Nazi. Just put Dan Bongino, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro happens to be Jewish. It doesn't matter. Just put in not. We've been called not every single one of us Nazis. Yet when liberal goons go out and celebrate a Nazi, again, instead of just being like, I can't believe this, they got to go and blame the same Russian disinformation Hillary used. Why? Why does what they say, why is it allowed to persist? He says he loves this segment, me too. It's allowed to persist. This visual magic trick of you're Nazis, but the Nazi isn't a Nazi. Russian collusion was real and the borders closed. It's allowed to persist because media people don't stop these people. I'm going to ask the same question, Joe. If a media person right there would have said, wait, cut this shit. Are you kidding me, sir? You guys invited an actual Nazi right around Jewish holidays. You gave him and you're actually blaming the Russians for this? For your bullshit? He would be done. He'd be finished. But because the media has no ball, you see balls. There's a genetic balls. Because they have no balls, no guts, and they're actual agitprop propagandists like Acosta, they just let it go. And the guy gets a pass. I mean, can you guys imagine if Donald Trump invited a Nazi to the State of the Union? It's not even worth talking about because there'd be public executions. There'd be actual tar and feathers. There'd be a riot at the White House. Would be burned down tomorrow.